What's up, people? It's a big week for Xbox this week, and we're going to be talking about it. Yes, the UK Competitions and Markets Authority is due to make an announcement about the Activision Blizzard deal this week. So it's, let's just say, it's a monumental week for Xbox and Microsoft. This has been 2 years in the making. We're going to be talking about that. There's a poll going as well, so let me know your thoughts in the poll, because I think, well, we'll discuss it later, of course. And all the Xbox games this week, all the Xbox news, a lot of talk around Hi-Fi Rush. Is it a flop? Was it a success? And all of that, you know what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the intro. Yokoso, domo, arigato gozaimasu. Yes, welcome to the Xbox Monday Night Chat, your number one place for live, informative, entertaining chat on all things Xbox. Make sure your dial is tuned to this YouTube channel every Monday night at 10 p.m. because that's where it's happening, man. That's where it is happening. And as ever, I would love to know what games you've been playing. So put it in the chat. Remember, it's the Xbox Monday Night Chat. You, ladies and gentlemen, will be playing the role of chat. An interesting role by all accounts. I want your motivation to be excited and intrigued by all things Xbox. So that's your motivation. That's your character chat today. So let's see that manifest in the chat, as it were. And as I say, let me know what games you've been playing, whether Xbox or not Xbox. Have you played Dead Island 2, of course, which was a big release this week? Have you jumped into that? Minecraft Legends launched today. Have you dabbled in that? I would love to know. And all of that, as I say, it is the Xbox Monday Night Chat. You know, so we need you. We need you, people. Let's see who's in the chat early doors. It's always nice to see who's in the chat. Oh, yeah. Let's get the housekeeping done, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit the likes. Because remember, YouTube likes it. I like it. And it helps people like you find content like this. So it's really, really appreciated. And it does go to help people find this show during the week. You know, those that are not fortunate like you to be able to watch it and then join in live and get that buzz of watching it live and all of that. So hit the likes. And if you are new here, arigato gozaimasu, please hit that subscribe button, toggle that notification bell, and that way you'll know when I go live with shows just like this, ladies and gentlemen. Right, there's your housekeeping. Let's get in with the chat, shall we? Right, up at the top, let's get the chat there going. At the chat, we had AI there, AI Weekly News. Nice to see him in the channel. Muttley Griffin, good to see you, sir. Good evening, Clive. Thank you. Sednar's in the house. Good to see you, Sednar. And Liam, of course, all the way from Montreal. We've got Dave D. Dave D. Roger, good to see you. Will you get PS Plus Premium to test out their cloud gaming on your PC? I don't know. I mean, I just... Like, I love cloud gaming and all of that, but, like, do I need another... Maybe to test out... If I got it to test... The thing is, PlayStation just doesn't... Look, I get it. Like, people love PlayStation and all of that. I understand. I appreciate it. But, you know, it doesn't float my boat. It's a bit like Amazon things. You know, or Apple things. They don't float my boat. You know, I know people love them and swear by them and all that kind of stuff, but it's just not my thing. But I ought to, shouldn't I? Really, just to sort of put things in perspective. You know, if I'm truly to, but maybe I should, just for the channel, for the purposes, for research purposes for the channel. maybe I should do a legit review, because, you know, my reviews on GeForce Now, on xCloud and everything do really, really well. So maybe I should. Maybe I should. Not for me, but for the channel. Paul, lovely to see you. Star Wars, says Internet of Games, Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars Squadrons, Mirror Edge, a month of EA Play for $3.99. I love Mirror's Edge. See, I've already got Mirror's Edge. That's such a good game. I love the whole design style of that. Evening. I remember Mirror's Edge right from the wow, like, yeah, I was at Lego back then, I'm sure. So I was in, you know, when I was in my games industry bit. Neil, lovely to see you. Been playing HFW Burning Shores. What a looker. Colm is there. Evening, sir. Caseball, great news. Resident Evil coming to GFN. Yes. I know this is not a GFN show, but it looks like they've been opted in. What I'd like to see, really, again, this is maybe a discussion for Thursday for the GeForce Now, but like a chart of the games that plots the games that have been opted in and then the games that are announced, because I'm not sure what that relationship is. Is it a done deal if they opt in, or is it just some sort of process thing that's happening in the background? I don't know, but it is great news if it is, if they're wrapping up the Capcom games. Great news. Vampire Survivors still, and Cyberpunk 2077, of course. Of course. What have I been playing? Apart from the X-Defiant. Just more a bit of X-Defiant. I've not played that much this week as I've been sort of distracted by things. You may not be aware, but I've started another channel which just looks at AI and stuff like that, because I'm quite fascinated by it. So I've been doing a bit of work on that. Would be awesome if you do get PS Plus Premium. I'll be looking forward to your thoughts on it, how well their cloud gaming service runs. Maybe I will. I should invest in it a short while and give it a run for its money, and then be able to compare it to Luna, GeForce Now, xCloud, and of course my previous experience on Stadia. So absolutely. Let's dive into the news quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Let's wrap up some of the news. Some big games coming. Not necessarily on Games Pass and all of that. Before we get into the big juicy news, ladies and gentlemen. Don't know what that is. So, Ampersat. I wonder what that was. And then I saw the gameplay of Ampersat, and it is literally an Ampersat character with a sword. It says blends of influences from Gauntlet, Smash TV to The Legend of Zelda. So we're talking the old Zelda, the top-down 2D Zelda. When I checked out the gameplay on this, and it's optimized for Xbox Series X and S. That's interesting because somebody asked. So Division 2 had a big presentation of what's coming in the seasons coming up on Division 2. And the issue was raised about whether they would do an optimized version of Division 2 for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X and Series S. And the answer is no. They're sticking with the version that they created for the Xbox, which is a shame because when we played Division 2 on Stadia, it looked amazing because it was sort of based off the PC version. And playing it on GeForce Now, it looks amazing. So that's the optimized version. Is effectively the PC version, and they're not optimizing it specifically for Xbox Series X and S, which is, you know, on one hand, it's a shame with Division 2 because it is such a good-looking game. But on the other hand, it's understandable because Division 2 is quite an old game, and it still plays really well. I guess a few things can be upscaled, but yeah, why bother doing the work again? But anyway, Ampersat, which ironically enough is a sort of old school looking. I'll come back to Cassette Beasts in a minute, which is another great looking game. Let's have a look at the trailer here. You'll see what I mean. So it's very much... let's look at the Steam version rather than the Switch version. I'm just going to take the audio off. So you can see it's that kind of top-down... so really Legend of Zelda, really old school, you know, almost like Game Boy, when Legend of Zelda was on the Game Boy, that style. And then it literally is an ampersand, whatever, not an ampersat character, the character, wandering around. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but I know, you know, there's a real old school style of it. And, you know, it also makes you wonder what's the point of it being upscaled, but... You know, there you go. As opposed to, again, talking of retro games. I'm trying to find the most up-to-date. So we'll get to that in a minute. We've got Dora Cone, Magnavania, Smile for Me. These are sort of you know, kind of quirky indie games. Stranded Alien Dawn, Strayed Lights, Tram Sim. I nearly said Trans Sim. That's like, well, you know, that would be an interesting game. Trans Sim. You heard it here first. No, Tram Sim console edition. People like driving their trams about. War Mongrels, an isometric real-time tactics game. Accurist, and here Cassette Beasts on PC Game Pass. I won't play the music on this one because the music's cracking. It's got a real kind of 80s feel, as is the theme with the whole kind of cassette, you know, for us Generation X, you know, a pencil and a cassette. Remember that, rewinding it slightly. Again, it's a very stylistic looking game. And the fact also that it's a PC game, be interesting that on Xbox PC, presumably it'll be available on GeForce Now if it's not already on Steam as a GeForce Now title. So turn-based fighting game. But the music, which I'm not playing, hopefully, if my desktop is off, yeah, the music's pretty cracking as well, sort of 80s style music. The Creepy Syndrome, Neko, Rescue Tale, Neko, of course, being Japanese for cat. You know, I don't waste my money on Duolingo for nothing, ladies and gentlemen. Blaze Blue, Bramble, Creepy Tale, Tin Can, Benedict Fox, which is, of course, coming to Game Pass. Not many of these are on Game Pass. Velocity Noodle, Dig Deep, Fran Bow, Gematombi, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. So Sunbreak's getting its release, which is, of course, is on Game Pass. Nuclear Blaze, Skinny and Franco. Now, this, of course, the big one that many people, of course, you know, be looking forward to. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Let me know in the chat whether you're looking forward to Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It's the big game of the week, really. 28th, 4 days' time. So Friday, it's coming out. Will you be playing it on Xbox? Will you be playing it on PC? But there we go. So the big game of the week is definitely Jedi Survivor, I would say. A big fan of the original Jedi game. Really enjoyed the gameplay. You know, just about the right sort of difficulty level that I didn't give up. I could switch it down when I needed in terms of the level that you played it in order to kind of complete the story. Really, really good game. I remember when it first came out, the original Jedi, and people were, you know, because it had that kind of the initial part introduction of the game is very kind of Lara Croft-like with its jumping, and I think a few people were a bit discombobulated by it. But then you got to that kind of almost Souls-like fighting style, and it was a good combo, a good mix of that kind of puzzling, climbing, jumping, in a kind of Lara Croft way, and then that kind of the battle stuff, the Souls-like battling. They're the games this week. As I say, lots of small indies and then one big juggernaut, which is, of course, Jedi Survivor, ladies and gentlemen. Jedi Survivor. Now, here's a question for you, and I'd love to know your answer, ladies and gentlemen, so please respond in the chat. Would you like to have a lifetime pass to Game Pass, yeah? A lifetime Game Pass. That makes sense? Yeah, if somebody, was willing to give it to you, would you be happy with a lifetime pass to Game Pass? Let me know in the chat. The reason I ask is somebody won it. Xbox fan wins Game Pass for life. So what would you do in this scenario, ladies and gentlemen? Xbox fan wins Game Pass for life, but shockingly declines the prize. Why did he decline the prize, ladies and gentlemen? Look at that. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Not just any old, it's the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Imagine if you got that in your Christmas stocking or whatever it was, yeah? Every now and then, again, we see a competition cropping up as part of the Microsoft rewards that allows the winner to claim, I've never seen this in Microsoft rewards. I don't pay attention. I was collecting the rewards and then I never really, I don't collect enough to kind of enter that many competitions. Anyway, Microsoft rewards that allows the winner to claim a lifetime membership, ladies and gentlemen, to Xbox Game Pass, a prize which ultimately lasts for around 40 years. Yeah, that's enough. That'll do. Earlier this week, a recent winner of this prize took to the Microsoft Rewards Reddit community to reveal that not only had he been lucky enough to win the lifetime membership, but they also felt forced to decline it. And here's the reason, not because he was a pony. Struggleboxing, I see ya. I see ya. Tax, ladies and gentlemen. Tax. He says, I read I would have $7,300 of added taxable income to my 2023 taxes as a result. So the prize, he's saying the prize is worth $7,300 and it would be added to his tax bill in 2023. Well, surely you could write it off over the 40 years. It has no value. The $7,300 has no value in that first year, if that makes sense. Its value is over the time of its lifetime. So surely you could, have it a depreciating tax over the years. I'm not an accountant, you can tell. I'm not a tax accountant, but I'm surely you could depreciate it, write it off over a period of time. I don't know what the threshold for that is. Anyway, according to this guy, basically the prize is worth over $7,000 and therefore would be in US tax perceived as taxable income for that year per US tax law, and would likely increase my 2023 federal tax bill by $1,700, 24%. You'd have to pay 24% tax on the prize. I also have added state income tax plus the state he's in. You Americans living in the land of freedom. Really? For life part in the prize is limited for a maximum of 40 years, hence the cash value, $7,300, that you have to report to the IRS. The prize is not transferable, nor can I ask for the cash value instead, thus not making it worth for him. What they said, they wished it wasn't for life and it would be much easier to digest if the membership lasted 10 years rather than being meted out over 40 years. So there we go. I'm not sure it would be taxable here. Some prizes are. Some prizes are taxable. But I'm not sure this would necessarily be. I don't know. It'd be interesting if there are any tax accountants, UK tax accountants, in the chat. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know. But it was just interesting. I just love that concept. I mean, think how much money you'd save over the time and the value you'd get out of it. I mean, amazing. What we're paying, what I'm paying, I don't know, for quick maths, 12 is 144. Am I paying more than 12? 15. Yeah, it's about 160 quid, something like that. Is that right? Yeah. A year. Better than a smack in the face with a wet fish. That's all I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, let me know in the chat what you think. I'm curious. I'm curious. Right. So before we get into the CMA decision, which is due this week, as I said, and some interesting things. Also, I think the decision is due on Thursday. We'll come to it in the news. But let me know if you know where the Xbox management happen to be going on Thursday. So they're visiting a certain place on Thursday when the announcement comes out. Put it in the chat if you already know where it is. I will be revealing it. It's very interesting. It's a UK-based place they're going, and given that the decision will be revealed on Thursday by the UK government, where will the management be on Thursday in the UK? Put it in the chat where you think they might be. I will tell you. But Hi-Fi Rush. There seems to be a lot of controversy around Hi-Fi Rush. Let's not go to that one first. It was revealed, find the right one. So it seemed to come out that Hi-Fi Rush didn't hit the sales. It didn't hit the sales figures that Xbox were expecting, and so it was deemed. This was sort of sources with inside Xbox, as I understand it, that it was a flop from a sales point of view. And yet, on the other hand, Xbox came out when this sort of rumors, this sort of leak was revealed, to say, look, this Aaron Greenberg has shut down the rumor that Hi-Fi Rush was a failure. It's had 2 billion players, because so Hi-Fi Rush, of course, was a shadow drop by Xbox, day and date shadow drop straight to Games Pass. So I don't know what their sales figures targets were for a game that they shadow dropped straight to Game Pass. If you're going to sell a game, you want to build up the hype, don't you? You build up the hype a few weeks, release a few teasers, trailers, longer trailers, building up the hype so people are ready and know what it is to, and allot money to it to spend the money. Whereas if you shadow drop something on Game Pass, that makes a lot of sense, because people go, oh, wow, what we can play it now. What a surprise. And it's not costing you anything to go in and play it on Games Pass. So as a strategy, shadow dropping a game like that into a subscription service makes a lot of sense for the subscription service, but doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense from a sales point of view if you're dropping it into a subscription service. So, look, 2 million players because of Xbox Game Pass. So I wonder why they think it, what the sales targets were or what their expectations were in terms of how many sales they'd make out a game that they would shadow drop onto Game Pass. Anyway, they go on to say, Aaron Greenberg defending the situation here, saying, Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release. And they were very positive about how many people were playing the game on Xbox Game Pass and all of that at launch. Jez Corden of Windows Central says, what exactly determines success for an Xbox game these days? Hi-Fi Rush, as far as I know, has no physical version, no marketing, no multiplayer. You know, it's an ideal game, in my opinion. And let me know in the chat what you think. But Hi-Fi Rush is an ideal game for Game Pass. It's a bit quirky, it's a bit fun, and you know, it's a sort of game that you might not. You know, it's not a big IP. It's not a recognizable IP. So it's a sort of game that you might say, oh, give it a go. It looks fun. But would you buy it from the get-go? No, you know, some people will, but like it doesn't strike me as the sort of game that you might buy from the get-go in mass. But it does look like the sort of game, having seen it, and if it's available to have a go on, as in Xbox Game Pass, you'd give it a go. So, yeah. I mean, you know, it's competing against so many other big games that people do buy. Yeah. There's a serious rush with these bloggers and media in general to push negative news. What could be the reason? Yeah. And it struck me, the whole controversy around this, you know, struck me as one of those, look, as somebody who went through, you know, as a veteran of the Stadia Wars, as it were, yeah, the Stadia Media Wars, front and centre, yeah, purple heart I've got in terms of Stadia Media Wars, defending Stadia to the hilt, rightly or wrongly, over the top or not over the top. I witnessed up front and nasty and close that kind of aggressive need to jump on and amplify negative news. One source says something and then every other outlet repeats that news, and then in itself it becomes news. And you just think it's like one source. It's not like a road accident where everybody sees and then lots of different people report on that road accident. There's a difference between, I was talking about this, what was the news story? There was a news story this week, and it was based on, it was the news from, I think it was from Business Insider, again, who said that it was rumoured, or they'd heard, that Samsung were contemplating dropping Google Search, Google Chrome, from their phones. And that became a massive story, and all the other outlets jumped on it. And it was like, it started as one single source and then got amplified. And there's no evidence that that source was right or wrong, or what the context of that source was. None of the other bloggers and newspapers, news blogs and everything, tech blogs, went in to investigate or to inquire further. They just amplified the single story of a source, an unknown source, which is like poor journalism. But because it was a negative story, albeit a big story, it gets amplified. And that's what you see a lot. And it's annoying. It annoys me when I see that. One single source, you know. I always look for other sources just to verify it. You know, I track a lot of the, you know, what's going on in Ukraine. And so from both, you see a lot of misinformation. And so I always like, if I see something that's interesting, I then try and search for it in other places to see whether it can get verified. You know, I've said, Ukraine, you know, have made some gains. But then you think, oh, wait a minute, I need to know that. How do I know that's true? Try and find some other sources to back it up. Anyway, there we go. So that is that's exactly what happened to the whole Hi-Fi Rush story. There was sort of one sort of insider source, one blog post, one tech blog spoke about it, and then all, you know, negative news stories, flies around. What's it, aren't they? Journalists around negative news stories jumped on it, amplified it. So much so that Xbox had to come out and say, no, we're happy with its performance in all measurements. Now, take that with a pinch of salt. Why did they feel obliged to come out and defend it? But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I enjoyed Hi-Fi Rush, but then I got bored, in fairness, of the game. Or not bored. Did I get bored? I just got distracted by other games. That's what happens. It takes a lot now for a game to really pull you away from all the other distractions. You know, it's that kind of magpie syndrome, isn't it? Oh, shiny thing, shiny thing, shiny. Oh, shiny thing, like Toad of Toad Hall. Boop, boop. For those who are familiar with that story. Anyway, there we go. Hi-Fi Rush. Let me know in the chat your thoughts on it. Right. Let's get to the let's have a run down some of the, before I lose the track of some of what you guys are saying. Capcom are opting them in. Nvidia will definitely drop them onto GFN. Playing through Resident Evil 2 remake second run. Still think it's the best RE. I'd like to see some of the remakes. Yeah, play some of the remakes. Do you think Xbox will become a third party? Some people seem to think so. No, I don't. Suarez. Again, that's the sort of, over simplification of things. This announcement is very important, but we should be more focused on that or the current state of Xbox at the moment. I think there's honestly, if we break down this sort of current state of Xbox, there is an argument to say, there are issues and whatever, but there's a lot of magnification and focus on things like Redfall. They didn't handle that very well. And so there's a few examples that you could collate and put together and present a case that's saying they're in a bit of a state. But if you take a bigger picture, like I've always said, whenever, reporting on stuff and doing shows like this, take a step back, take a wider picture. And it's just a blip. It's a tiny thing. And if the CMA, the UK CMA approve, which I personally think will happen this week, will be approved, I think that's the domino that tips the EU and then the FTC. The FTC, the woman at the FTC, I forget her name, Khan, got a severe grilling by the Senate this week. And I've got some news footage, which I won't share here because it's quite dry. But they were challenged on Sony's anti-competitiveness in Japan and what's the US doing in terms of supporting US companies in the gaming industry, which was a kind of, what we're talking about, FTC. So there is, a sense that if the UK agrees, I think it's the first of the major big hurdles to let this go through. And they'll start, dropping. I mean, talking of that, we can go straight to it. For instance, so we had we know that, Japan, ironically, approved. We know that South Africa's approved it. New Zealand, ladies and gentlemen. Microsoft Activision Blizzard. Clearance. Basically, they've approved it. Has received a clearance application to acquire 100% of Activision Blizzard. Oh, no, it's delayed. Sorry. They haven't approved it. It's delayed. I completely forgot that one. Yeah. So in New Zealand, the decision is delayed. I wonder if they're just waiting on other people. But anyway, for whatever reason, it's delayed, the New Zealand decision. But, of course, this week, the big thing is, why is Eurogamer not working? Okay. The first indication from the Financial Times, which is obviously behind a paywall, is that the CMA, the UK CMA, is expected to support Microsoft's acquisition of Activision. It's a big week for big. So in the FT, they were saying it's a big week for big tech with quarterly results from Amazon. There's Microsoft results this week as well. Alphabet, Meta, Microsoft. Yeah, just said that. The latter will also have an eye on the UK, where on Wednesday, so it's Wednesday, the Competition and Markets Authority is due finally to rule on whether to block the technology company's $70 billion takeover of games maker Activision Blizzard. Although this is likely to prove a damp squib, as the CMA is expected to support it. And that's my thought, really. There's no real reason to block it, unless it's a sort of political reason. And I don't think I'd find it hard for them to block it. It'll be a shock. But basically, Wednesday. We'll know by Wednesday. I think this is a big, for all, as mentioned in the chat there, for all the sort of negative or, bad few days or bad few weeks that Xbox appeared to be having. I was thinking, is this the most important decision or moment in the life of Xbox? Is it that monumental? Is it the proverbial game changer if this gets approved? It will be a damp squib because people go, yeah, I knew it would be approved. There's still, Sony could still appeal, I think, but be a waste of time if it does get approved. So yeah, interesting on that. And interestingly enough, so this week, to answer the question, we'll see whether anybody got the answer right. Microsoft is having a showcase at number 10. That's number 10 Downing Street. It's where the Prime Minister of the UK lives for our non-UK viewers today. Microsoft has been invited to showcase its products in 10 Downing Street on the same day. So this is on Wednesday. So Microsoft have been invited by the UK government to 10 Downing Street. That's like getting an invite to the White House, yeah? The equivalent of getting invited to the White House on the same day the government, i.e. the UK Competition and Markets Authority, is either going to approve or deny the Activision Blizzard deal. Now, is that a coincidence? And it's phase 2 of the verdict on the Activision deal. One city source said there was bemusement at the confluence of the two events. Yeah, it's like, really? Really? A CMA decision to reject the deal would be damaging to Microsoft's relationship with the government. They added that Microsoft faced embarrassment at being inside Downing Street if the CMA, basically the government, at the same... Yeah, you've got nice products there. Well, welcome, yeah. Welcome, Phil. Welcome, Sadella. Yeah, whatever. Welcome to UK. Welcome to the government. Yeah. Oh, 1 minute. I've just got to take this call. What? We're not approving. Okay. Yeah, do you mind putting those sandwiches back? Yeah, and we'll have that back, please, as well. We'll have that champagne back. Thank you. Yeah. Goodbye. Shut the door on them. Not approved. It's going to be very embarrassing, is it not? If the government, the UK government, denied while the Microsoft management are in number 10. And I tell you what, the way that our government is being run at the moment, that level of embarrassment is par for the course right now, quite frankly. Par for the course. But yeah, don't you think that's weird? Is it just coincidence? Are they over optimistic that actually, they would have known the date. I will take that risk. But yeah, interesting. Let's see Tom Warren's take on it. This is from last week. Sounds like we're getting a CMA decision on Microsoft's proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. With cloud concerns left, the CMA could seek to impose some behavioural remedy. So he still thinks, well, he doesn't. Equity Report thinks that the CMA may seek some behavioural remedies. So that will just come, in other words, it will just come with conditions, ladies and gentlemen. Just come with conditions. Just want to make sure I've covered everything. Oh yeah, interesting here actually. So this is longtime Halo creative who left 343 Industries is joining Netflix. We talked about it briefly, I think, on GeForce Now about Netflix really moving into AAA multi-platform games and original IP, and not just mobile games, which is where they've sort of started. They're taking little steps into, rather than just going straight into big AAA games, a bit like sort of Amazon tried. Netflix taking little steps, starting with the mobile games and then building up. Well, they've got the creative director, formerly, the Halo creative director, is now creative director on a brand new, not just games, on a brand new AAA multi-platform game and original IP. Seems Netflix is expanding video game development capabilities into AAA. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Anyway, let me know what you think in the chat of all of those. Let me just catch up on the chat while we're here. Feels like they missed a trick not making the @ sword an exclamation mark. Oh, I like that, Internet of Games. That would be good in that game, yeah. Medieval Village looked pretty decent. Indeed. I used Hot Bootleg and sell cassettes when I was in the 7th grade. Yeah, like, well, I was trying to think, on Portobello Market, used to get some bootlegs of live gigs and raves. I'm sure I had a couple of cassettes from that. I had a nice cassette player. It's like when you like, have you ever had that experience where this may be a Gen X thing, when you buy your hi-fi in separates, you get a bit of cash and you can buy, your amp, could buy an amp and a CD deck. And I still wanted a cassette deck as well. I got a quality cassette deck, probably from Richer Sounds in the UK. If you live in the UK, you know what that is. They always had really good quality, but cut price quality hi-fi separates. Talking of Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah. And then you set it up. I remember in my shared flat, I set it all up. Because I remember my mate as well, he got a bit of cash a few months later, and he went out, he came into my room and he was saying, what you got? And then a few months later with his paycheck, he went to Richer Sounds and got his hi-fi set up, big speakers. Yeah. Happy days, happy days. Yeah, I used to bootleg and sell cassettes in 7th grade. Cassette game is not yet on GFN. Okay, that's interesting. The Medieval Dynasty Series X and X version has always been on Game Pass. They just added the Xbox One version. With you there. Roger's really looking forward to Jedi Survivor. I'm looking forward to watching Twitch stream of Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Caseball, I'll tell you what, Division 2 and 4K on Stadia played so well. It did. The Snowdrop engine could easily handle higher textures. 2 new games will really show, the new Star Wars game and Avatar. Yeah, the Avatar, Ubisoft Avatar update. I'm looking forward to those. What Ubisoft does with the IP, the Star Wars IP, especially on the Snowdrop engine, because you're right. It looked amazing. And now I played Division 2 now on GeForce Now Ultimate. And it does look excellent. For a game that, is 5 years old now? Heck yeah, says Struggle. Is there an option for yay with remedies? Exactly, Purple. That's what I think. I think there will be behavioural remedies. Probably, I think, fairly tokenish. That makes sense. More a symbol to sort of say, yeah, okay, we approve it, but, you know, there's a few caveats. Sednar, is that wanting the lifetime Game Pass? Definitely a pony. I think what's the catch? I mean, you have to keep buying your black box. Yeah, like if you've got it for 40 years, then that you feel like obligated to buy every generation of console that comes out if you've got your lifetime Games Pass. Yeah, it's a good point. Really looking forward to Redfall. Well, the PC version anyway. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Do you hold out for the performance version on Xbox Series X? Because we don't know when it's coming. That's the point. Or would you just go straight for the PC version on GeForce Now? I'd be happy with that. I'd set up an anonymous account and rent months out to people half price. Only fools and horses. Yeah, right, old Del Boy Internet Games there. That's a mistake. The voucher has a value of... Whoops. The voucher has 1 cent. I don't believe him. Yeah, but the prize is worth... You're right. That's why they put on those vouchers. For legal reasons, they put this has a value of 0.0001 cents. Yeah, but as a prize, it made me think, because I've entered a prize. There's a company in England that does this sort of charity thing. But they're not a charity. And at first, I used to think it was a bit of a scam, but it's not. It's a legit thing, and it's a business. But they raise money for charity, and basically it's a lottery. But they always come up with amazing houses. And every so often I'm tempted. I'll give it 10 quid. Here we are. How about this? I want this house. It's in a place in England called the Cotswolds, which is beautiful. It's not too far from where I live, actually. Beautiful countryside. Very oldie-worldy villages. It's a tourist. Some of the villages, popular with tourists and stuff. Win this house. Yes, please. 10 quid to enter. Some of the money goes to, cancer, NSPCC. So this is a company they set up, and then the way they've structured it is that, it raises a percentage of the income from the ticket sales goes to charity. And, the rest goes to the prize, and the rest goes to their profit. And, it's all legit. And you get 100 grand to settle in. But I'm not sure you have to pay any capital gains tax on the house. Only if you'd sold it would you have to pay capital gains. I don't think there's any tax on winning it or on the 100 grand prize to move into this beautiful house. Look at that. I'll let you know, ladies and gentlemen, if you see me in a few months with a swimming pool behind me, yeah, like I'm up in one of these windows, my ticket came out, yeah, my raffle came out. Lovely looking house. It's another loophole. You need a good accountant to spot that, yeah. It's like Mr. Beast. Always has, he says, that because he's always giving money away, people have to, he offers to pay people their taxes or to take the cash value of, like, they win a house, take the cash, he'll buy it off them to give them the cash money because he says, he just wants people to have the prize. Yeah, UK it would be a gift, so no tax. There must be a limit though, I wonder. See Larry the cat. Ah, right, I'll check that out. London, they are indeed in London. Purple Haze. Exactly, Downing Street. Exactly, 10 Downing Street. It's not a gift, it's a prize winning. A lot of Xbox games will not hit massive sale numbers because of Game Pass. Exactly, and I think Hi-Fi Rush is a prime example of a really good game that will do really, really well on Games Pass, because it's not everybody's cup of tea. It doesn't strike me as a mainstream game, but it does strike me as a game that you might want to dip into and give a go, which is perfect for Games Pass. What I said was irrelevant. The transaction value is monetized but not taxable. Well, we'll have to see. Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? Eat the cow. Eat the rich. Exactly. Extreme hype for Redfall. See the new review from IGN today. Are they Uggen? IGN sort of putting their sort of trying to suck up to Oh yeah, look. Redfall, after IGN's sort of mess up with their previous review, Redfall co-op campaign preview. In our final Redfall preview, we look at how slaying vampires changes when adding multiple players. This is as of updated and posted today. I had the pleasure of playing about 4 hours of Redfall on PC. On PC, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look down. Working with the people of Redfall is not only a major story element, but a nice general theme that's apparent through all its parts. Let's summarize it. In fact, what I'm gonna do, because I'm sort of fascinated by all things. We'll come back to that. Rather than me whiz through that, what we're gonna do. Ladies and gentlemen, if this works, we'll do it live, right? If it works, make sure you subscribe to my new channel. If this works, and we'll summarize what she had to say. In this review, IGN takes a look at how Redfall's co-op campaign changes the game. They find that playing with friends makes the game more fun and easier, as players can combine their powers to take down enemies more efficiently. They also note the game's atmosphere is more menacing when playing alone, as the player is left to their own devices in the dark and creepy town of Redfall. Overall, IGN finds that Redfall's co-op campaign is a great way to experience the game, and they recommend playing with friends for the best experience. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. You see, I'm combining my two channels. Yeah. If you've not, would it be tacky of me to ask you to subscribe to my new channel? If you're interested in all things AI, then you definitely subscribe to AI News, ladies and gentlemen. Please sub. So my channel specifically, if you've not seen it, AI News Daily here. Specifically on, interesting, quirky, funny things all related to AI. Anyway, there's a shameless plug. Shameless plug by me, for me. But there we go. Yeah, an interesting review, because obviously IGN, there was controversy around IGN's initial review. But in fairness, that is on PC there and not on Xbox. I think Hi-Fi Rush was a good game to play through. I rarely buy a single player game because I play them once. Exactly. I think that's why I think it's perfect. Those single player short game, play it through once. Perfect for Game Pass. I've been giving it a go on Game Pass recently and been having fun, but hit a point where I actually need a bit of timing, which I don't have, lol. Oh, Stadia Wars. What a rough time for Stadians. Even if they drop Google Chrome from the new phone, you could still download it. Yeah. It would be too controversial, I think, for Samsung. It just may be a tactical mood. The thing is, if anybody who's worked in big business and then reads stuff in the paper related to their business, and they sort of know, you see, oh my God, that is so wrong. Like there was, interestingly, in the light of Tucker Carlson being sacked from Fox News, there was in the tabloid, the right-wing tabloids, there was news about some major BBC newsreaders being sent, being made redundant. And it made big news. Oh my God, they're making these big, the big name newsreaders redundant. And it took the newsreader, a guy called Hugh Edwards, to tweet out going, no, because as everybody knows, the news department in the BBC is going through restructuring. And when that happens, HR send out voluntary redundancy letters. So they, rather than force redundancies, they ask people whether they would be interested in accepting voluntary redundancy. And as is policy, they have to send everybody in the department a letter offering the opportunity to take voluntary redundancy if you so wish. No guarantee that you would get it. And so that's what actually happened. They got a standard HR letter going, these are, voluntary redundancy is an option should you be interested. Not they're making their top newsreader redundant, but that was what the story was. So it's when you work in a company and you know the truth and you just think, oh, and then you see how news spins it or misinterprets it or gets the wrong end of the stick, you kind of go, oh my gosh, imagine if that was something I knew. Like, you ignore everything else you don't know about. You just take the news that you read in the headlines at face value. It's only when you see news about something you actually know about, like intimately, because you work for the company. I work, like my job day to day, I deal with entertainment news, entertainment television, right? So there's lots of gossip and news in the paper that I read in the tabloids about shows that I'm actually doing contracts for. And they're completely wrong. The headlines, like completely, I know better than anybody. I'm actually doing the contract for it. And you just think, well, if they get that wrong or they misinterpret that, how much what else are they getting wrong that we just take for granted? I'm guilty of it as well. I take it verbatim, a lot of the stuff that you read. There's a lot of nuance and grey and detail that just gets overlooked in the headlines. It's always the way. That's the nature of the news, isn't it? I'm glad I got to experience Stadia from a player and supporter. Couldn't have ended better. They gave me my money back. Hats off, yeah. Like, it was a crying shame, but look, it was a wild ride while it lasted, and we all came out the other end, got our money back, got extra, as it turned out. Thanks to if you'd bought a load of Ubisoft games, ka-ching. Not only did you get all your money back, we were all so enthusiastic wanting to support Stadia. We spent loads of money, got it all back. Plus then Ubisoft went, if you bought a game, we're going to give you the PC version or whatever. It's like, okay, thank you. Ka-ching, ka-ching. The times are a-changing. Bye-bye, Tucker. Exactly. Hey, Chariot Man Gaming, how are you? Good to see you. Chariot Man Gaming's in the chat, everybody. Say hello to him and make sure you check out Chariot Man Gaming's channel and his shorts. He's always very entertaining, very funny, well worth it. Definitely struggling to commit to a game and finish them these days. Yeah, it's got to really pull you in. I think the last game that really, really pulled me in was a Plague's Tale. I became emotionally attached to the characters. I think that's a single player game like that. I think you need to have some emotional investment, whether that's with the characters or whatever, that pulls you into the story. Killed by Google got reinstated on Twitter. That's the problem with sub-services. Now you have too many games to choose from. That is an argument about choice. Too much choice. Is too much choice a bad thing? I get stuck on games, then move on. Yeah, like I've given up on my Wolong. So disappointed with myself. Wolong Fallen Dynasty. What do you think Xbox's focus is right now? Obviously, Activision deal. I think right now it's like, get that Activision Blizzard deal done, and then it's right, okay, stop. They will have their strategy, their business strategy, their plans, everything in place, ready to go. Yeah? But it's all on hold. And when you work in a company like that, in a situation, it can be very frustrating because you probably prepped a lot of stuff. You're prepared. You're ready to go. They've probably got stuff planned in the summer around the E3 period, the Festival of Games period, when they're going to do their Xbox showcase, the Starfield showcase. I bet a lot of that, or elements of that, hinges on a positive result from the UK CMA. So I think the floodgates in terms of some of their plans and expansion and aggressiveness, marketing and moving forward will open if they get an overall positive decision over the next few months from the UK, EU and the US. Lena Khan got grilled because I think she has an axe to grind. Well, she did feel a little bit out of depth. Yeah, it was interesting. Great news. Struggle Boxing. Oh, if you've missed it, it's on. So, yeah, there's plenty. Purple Haze, if you check, there's plenty of stuff. I've seen stuff on YouTube and clips. I'm not sure she gave necessarily a good presentation of herself, to be honest. I think she got grilled, like they usually get grilled, but sometimes people are pretty, well researched and fact checked, and they can usually dismiss the grilling you get from the Senates, who tend to be less focused on the detail. But yeah, it's worth checking out because it is quite interesting. There is a clip here. I'll share. This is the US Trade Representative Catherine testifying on Biden's trade policy agenda before Senate Finance Committee. But in it, so this is not Lena Khan, but in it, the trade rep has a go at the FTC in a way, saying, what are they doing to support, effectively saying, in Japan, Sony gets away for excluding, denying Xbox games, especially in Japan, appearing on Xbox and being, having 90% of the market. What's the FTC doing to protect the US companies like Microsoft? It's quite dry, but it was interesting enough as well. The weird thing is, so Nintendo have been subpoenaed by the FTC to come and talk to them about their deal that they've agreed with Microsoft for their, Call of Duty and stuff like that. And it's like, Nintendo trying to get it dismissed to say, well, we're happy with the deal. We haven't got a problem with the Activision Blizzard deal. Why are you calling us? Like, it's almost as though the FTC are trying to get Nintendo to sort of go, to say to Nintendo, are you really sure? Yeah? Yeah? You're not really, are you? Yeah? You're not comfortable with the Activision Blizzard deal, are you? Yeah? Yeah? Go on, just say it. Say it. And Nintendo are going, no, we're fine with it. We're fine. No, you're not really, are you? It's almost as like the FTC want Nintendo to somehow say no when Nintendo are going, no, but we're cool with the deal. Don't know why are you calling us? Why are you subpoenaing us? Like, we've done a deal with Microsoft for Call of Duty for the next. We're happy with that. We haven't got a problem with it. And it's almost as though the FTC aren't convinced by it. It's weird. Weird behaviour. What's the end game of getting Activision? They spent a lot of money Well, the main thing, we get so focused on Call of Duty, but the main thing is really mobile games. It's the king part of it. Yeah, it's your Candy Crush. It's the one market, and a massive, massive market. You know, when people quote about the size of the games market, they often include, you know, the amount that, what was it? I think it was it last week or one of the shows last week? I talk about over 50s playing games. They'd done a survey, and there's like loads of people, but of course they included mobile games in that survey. So whenever they look at the games market, the industry often, includes within that mobile gaming. And that's the one area of growth, of rapid and potential growth that Microsoft has. Because, its growth elsewhere is limited. There's a finite amount of people who are going to buy consoles. But new areas of growth are mobile gaming, and that's why they want the Activision Blizzard deal. A steady supply of top quality games, or big IPs at least, for Xbox Game Pass, yeah? And B, a massive buy into the mobile gaming market, which is massive. So that's the thing, I think it is. MS focusing mainly on getting casuals to join Game Pass. Yeah, it's to indoctrinate people into the world of Xbox. And when I say people, it's like people who play mobile games. So the Xbox is a gaming brand. Xbox is not console gaming, Xbox, it's Xbox PC games. Yeah, it's Xbox console games. It's Xbox Cloud. It's Xbox Game Pass. It'll be Xbox Mobile. The box bit is kind of redundant now, in a way. But you can't get rid of it. The brand is Xbox, but it's not a box, if that makes sense. Xbox is a gaming brand, and they want it to be gaming on PC, gaming in the cloud, gaming on console, and gaming on mobile phone. And Xbox is the brand. And that's what they're trying to expand. Yeah, probably. And Sony, look, they do a 10-year deal with Microsoft that gives them plenty of time to work with Bungie and come up with their own service multiplayer game, It's important for cloud too. If not approved, might block cloud. Well, I think what they would do is just say, we want reassurances about the cloud. Where the Prime Minister signs taxpayers' money off for his wife's companies. Exactly. She had said countless things here and there, but one example in a Zoom, she said she was preparing to unleash an aggressive agenda. The best is yet to come. I'd find it unusual if they didn't seek structural remedies. It would show favoritism considering how they've treated other tech Yeah, which I think... Well, it's a case of whether it's structural or behavioural. I think structural is the more extreme, and behavioural remedies is the lighter option. So it's between those two, I think. Somebody's got to build this exoscale supercomputer. Yeah, exoscale supercomputer. She said nothing of the nature. As someone who follows her, she hasn't said that, not at all. Oh, controversy over what she said. She certainly had a bit of a grilling. The issue is around cloud. What conditions could they put on it? Just, I think, some extra assurances that they honour the contracts that they've done with GeForce Now and Boosteroid. That they don't renege on those deals. That kind of thing, I guess. Just Google New York Times interview with Khan. I want a modern day Paperboy. These classic style games seem to be missing everyone, going for realistic or enduring storylines. Whoa. She's an enforcer prosecutor. She's brought in because of a lack attitude towards mergers that in many cases have hurt consumers. And this is the big political thing, isn't it? The Facebooks and the Amazons and the Googles and whatever. Nothing was done about it before it was too late. And so politically, it's like, do we want that to happen again with big tech? And that's the nervousness. You need to justify why you're blocking these deals. It can't be for political reasons. It has to be for legitimate, legal competition law. It has to stand up against the scrutiny of current competition law legislation. It can't just be for making political statements. So if you're going to make a political statement, make sure that it's, as we used to say in law school, it stands on all four legs. It'll be the first one that pops up in Google. Oh yeah, the new game will give me the shove to play the first one. What, the Jedi game? I don't like the lady, can't convince me otherwise. Here we go. Clive's crypto spiel begins. Win this house. Exactly. Win the house. 20 in chat. Yay. The media lies. It tells the truth. Yeah. I wouldn't call that a grilling as much as a very partisan attack. That's a US political thing. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I think bringing in what politicians are doing is weakening the argument. Just my 2 cents, but I understand your position. Well, we look forward to Purple Haze's videos when it's all, all done and dusted. Always interesting, always worth. It's a real kind of intelligent digest and reasoning in Purple Haze's videos. Always worth watching. Really well formatted and argued cases. Samsung should go to this new Microsoft mobile platform they're formulating. No! Was it Microsoft Mobile? Was it Windows Mobile? No thanks. Oh, it looked great, but it was too late, wasn't it? Anyway, there we go. That's a lot of ranting and raving and all of that. Another cracking show. I hope you agree, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's quickly check out the poll. 89% of you, it's 27 votes. 27 votes, ladies and gentlemen. That's good. 89% say it's a yay for the Activision Blizzard deal. UK CMA agreeing the Activision Blizzard deal. Whether with caveats, I don't know, but it's getting approved either way. 89% and 11% say nay. Those on the right say aye. Those on the left say nay. The ayes have it. That's how they do it in the House of Commons. The ayes have it. 89%, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. We'll end the poll. As ever, ladies and gentlemen, Robocop. Oh, I love a bit of Robocop. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me live. I really, really appreciate it as ever. Another cracking show. Another cracking conversation. Another cracking Xbox Monday night chat, because you played a blinder in chat, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what makes the show tick. So, arigato gozaimasu to you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. We will know in the middle of the week what the UK's CMA decision is. So, exciting times. And join me Thursday, GeForce Now. If you don't have priority, I think I'll be giving away some free trials of Priority, GeForce Now Priority. So definitely join me if you want some keys to a free trial of GeForce Now Priority on Thursday, 10 p.m. UK time, the GeForce Now Thursday chat. Yoshida's in the house listening. She's been listening quietly. Arigato gozaimasu, Yoshida. Always lovely to see you. You know it. You know it's true. Have a wonderful, wonderful time, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you later in the week. Goodbye.
Hi, yeah. This is all very well and good. I hope you're enjoying the intro, but I'd just like to interrupt to say, could you do me a massive favour? Yeah. If you could just hit that subscribe button down there if you've not done it already, yeah, that one down there, and toggle the notification bell up there as well, and that way you'll know when I go live with content like this. And hey, why don't you consider becoming a member, yeah? A member, yeah? And you might get a little insight into my inner soul. Anyway, thank you. Enjoy the rest of this intro.